Just finished first pressure washing of the AMX, and a lot of the paint came off in the tank, but it appears that they painted over a lot of the original paint. So I'm gonna have a close look at this thing with you and you see what's all going on with it. So up front, you could see there was a layer of blue paint all over this, what I'm guessing is the original paint, and that all came off. There's a decent amount of rust. You could see all these rust holes coming through. It's the same on the other side. We'll come along to the side here. A lot of that undercoating came off that was under there. There's some pretty thick undercoating on here. The floor looks pretty decent. You can see there's some patches welded in, but there's a lot of good metal right there. A lot of pitting and rust in the floor. This is all rust right here. There wasn't any paint there when we put it in the tank. You can see all the rust on the roof too. There's a lot of filler on the flares, and I'll show you the other side. Super thick. Trunk area, you can see they painted over all this blue. Hopefully in the next dip this is gonna come off. It should. I might sand on it a little bit just to speed it up. Here's the other flare. You can see, I imagine this isn't even welded on here. There's this piece of metal with like these relief cuts in it, and that they bent around the flare and then just sculpted some filler over it. I'm curious to see if that just falls off when we remove all that filler. But I'm gonna sand on this for a little bit, get under this paint a little more just to speed things up, and we're gonna get it back in the tank. It'll be in there for about 2 days, and we'll pull it back out and see what's left. All right, so real quick before we get this car out of the tank, I want to talk to you guys about something. So I'm pretty sure every single person who follows my channel is just a huge fan of anything with a motor in it. And I feel it's safe to assume that a lot of you are into military style vehicles. And if that's the case, I have to tell you about this game I've been playing with my son a lot lately called War Thunder. I actually do play this game. It's super fun. And if you're into military style vehicle and military equipment in general, you have to check this game out. War Thunder is a huge military action game, which is also free to play. And it's available on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. So let's have a quick look at this game and I'll show you what it's all about. War Thunder is a free-to-play PvP military combat game that is available on Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. If you're into military vehicles, you definitely need to play this game. The amount of detail they put into every single aspect of every vehicle in this game is astounding. In War Thunder, you can dominate the skies, take over the seas, or you can storm the front lines from the ground. There are countless vehicle options to choose from, and all vehicles in the game can be upgraded and improved with different weapon systems and visual aspects. You can make these vehicles look as ridiculous as you want or as cool as you want. The possibilities are endless. The developers are always listening to the community and updating the game. The most recent update, Seek and Destroy, now features aviation from the Benelux, including the famous Dutch aircraft, the Fokker G1A. They also added new missiles with active radar homing, which make aerial battles in modern aircrafts way more fun. On top of that, they added 2 new maps, including the Mysterious Valley and the Bering Sea, which is going to make aerial and naval battles so much more intense. Download War Thunder for free using the link in the description below. All new players and those who haven't played War Thunder for a half a year or more will receive a special bonus. You'll get a bunch of new vehicles, some unique skins for them, a special decorator Eagle of Valor, 100,000 Silver Lions, and a week of free premium account. Hurry up, the American Vehicle Bonus season will end soon. Make sure you download War Thunder. So there was still a decent amount of paint on the car, and as you can see right here, we are now dipping the car in our rust removing acid. In a few minutes, I'll explain why I'm doing that. And I want to apologize if it seems like I repeat myself a lot. A lot of these videos are taken weeks apart, and I sometimes forget what I've covered already. So as you can see, we pulled the AMX out of the acid and we put it in with paint still on it. For some reason, I don't know the chemistry behind it, but sometimes our alkaline doesn't like to touch certain paints, and this one was giving us some troubles. So since this car was so rusty, sometimes with like glossy blues and gray paints, our acid will actually remove it better than our alkaline, especially with oxide primers. Our acid attacks those way better than our alkaline does. So we're gonna see if the acid did the trick, but you can see a lot of the rust is removed already. This thing was pretty rough and it took care of a lot of the rust. If this acid doesn't remove this paint, I'm probably gonna end up using a little more aggressive chemical just to get the little bit that's left. It's in the door jambs, on the firewall. Not a lot's left, but we're gonna pressure wash it and we'll see what's left. So as you can see, the acid actually did a pretty good job at removing a lot of that paint. The only places that it didn't remove it is where there was some clear coat. But I'm deciding still if I'm gonna put this in the alkaline again, because usually the paint that's left after the acid touches it, it weakens it more and the alkaline will take care of the rest. Or if I'm just gonna paint on some like aircraft stripper or something just to get this little smudges off and the door jambs and stuff. But I'll have a quick look at this before we get it back in the tank or whatever I decide to do. So let's have a quick look. So up front here, you can see we have a few specks of paint. That'll be taken care of here shortly. We do have some flash rust forming. We did not neutralize this car when we pulled it out. Didn't think it was worth it, and flash isn't gonna cause any damage at all, especially since this is gonna be going back in the tank today. You can see we have a lot of rot and pitting here. Same with on the other side. Once I get around to it, I'll show you. There was a lot of pitting on the roof. These quarters and everything were completely rusty. This floor looks pretty solid, honestly. We do have some corners and stuff that are rotted out. You can see right there and on the opposing side. But it's honestly better than I thought it was going to be. You can see some of the paint came off on the doors, door jambs, and there's just a little bit left there. There was a ton of filler here. You can see this repair, it's all brazed in. Not very nice, I might add. Come back to the trunk area. This is where the thickest paint is. And a lot of the paint in the trunk came off. Step around here. Here's where that other repair is on the passenger side. There was like, I want to say like an inch of filler down in that corner right there. But you can see that flare, how they repaired it, and it's all brazed in there. Got some rock coming through on the floor here. All right, now to decide what to do with this thing. So I ended up using a little more aggressive chemical on the little bits of paint that were left. And this is us pulling the car out after its final acid bath. I want to apologize again to you guys. I do work multiple jobs, and I take off from this job to go to my other job, and I do miss some footage. And I actually wasn't even going to post this video, but I ended up getting enough together to make a video for you guys. But I'm sorry if it seems like I haven't gone over as much stuff as I usually do. And here's me neutralizing the car after its final acid bath. This will neutralize all the acid and the seams and everything. And then it's gonna get its final pressure wash, a dunk in our water-based rust inhibitor, and then we're gonna go over the car. The AMX is all finished up and down the bare metal. This was an awesome car to do. I've never done an AMX before, and we don't get a lot of AMCs in here, but actually right after we got this one, we ended up getting a Javelin, which I'm working on right now. So that's pretty cool. That'll be the first Javelin I did too. Hopefully I have a video coming up for that. The paint on this car was actually pretty tough. Our alkaline didn't even want to touch a lot of the blue paint that was underneath. So we ended up putting it in the acid because sometimes with certain oxide primers and certain like glossy paints, our acid takes care of it better than the alkaline. I don't know the science behind that, but when all else fails, that's what we try, and it works a lot of the time. This thing was pretty rusty. It ended up turning out in better shape than I thought it was going to, but there are some questionable repairs on it and some thick pitting and rot coming through. We're gonna have a close look at this real quick, and I'll show you what we're working with. So up front, you can see we have some repairs going on here. That's all boogered up. You can see they stacked a whole bunch of welds, and it's just all beat up. Have a look on the inside here. The firewall is pretty solid. We do have some welds coming down there and on the opposing side. There is a lot of brazing on this car. You can see there was some pretty thick rust here and it rotted through in a few places. We have some brazing up here and on the opposing side. The roof had a lot of pitting. There were some spots that had paint and most of it was rust. Have a look on the inside here. You can see we got some brazing in the floor over here. Good bit of rock coming through. More brazing up front there. And we got some really decent rock coming through. And on the opposing side over there, we'll have a closer look at it. But there is a lot of good metal here, as you can see. Have a look at these quarters. You can see all that brazing and that big patch there. Have a look in the trunk area. We have more brazing over here and on the opposing side. Trunk's real solid. We do have a few pinholes coming through, but oh yeah, there's some rot there too. Have a look at those patches from the inside. We'll have a look at the passenger side quarter. Now, there was a ton of filler on both of these flares, and I love seeing patches like this. This one's pretty ridiculous, but it's always fun to see how people repair things, the history of the car. We got some more brazing on the rocker there, some pinholes on the door jamb, a little more brazing in the floor and some rot. Have a look over here. You can see it's about the same rot as there was on the other side. Not quite as bad, but I can't wait to see this thing when it's done. As you can see, this car has a lot of stories. All those old repairs and everything that was done. I love uncovering that stuff, and I know you guys do too. But I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed making it for you, and I will see you at the next car.